Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I think because of our one guest, I have to speak in English. Otherwise, I normally try to speak the language of Pakistani elite, which is a combination of English and Urdu. But just for your benefit, and obviously we have to keep everyone informed here. I think when we talk about PIA, obviously PIA creates a kind of passion which no other institution in Pakistan creates. Closest that comes to PIA is Pakistan Steel, and I don't know why Pakistan Steel is so important for Pakistanis. But FASCO or LASCO or PMDF, no one creates that kind of passion that PIA creates. And therefore, obviously, when it is close to the heart of 15 crore Pakistanis, then everyone wants to have a debate and everyone has his or her views whether we should privatize, reform or restructure and so on. At the beginning, let me tell you one thing and share something which is, because this is a non-political forum. Unfortunately, in politics, everything is defined as black and white. Either it is 100% upside or 100% downside. You can't take a position in between and say there are some merits here and some merits here, like it happens in the actual business world, where the decision making is serious and difficult, and why the management is all the time grappling with issues and taking decisions is because if you are talking about various options, there would be a difference of 19-20, like I say, and based on that you take a position that let's go ahead, but there is an understanding and a realization that there will be a downside and how that downside will be contained. But when we talk about PIA, privatization or reform or whatever we want to do, as far as the government is concerned, they would talk about all the fantastic things that privatization offers. And while the opposition will see absolutely no benefit in privatization. Opposition, when they are in opposition, like they say, once in opposition you become a socialist. And therefore, all the issues with regard to the sensitivity of the employees, with regard to all their benefits and compensation and their future and so on and so on, becomes extremely important. It does not mean that the other side is not interested in the welfare of the employees. It's just like Soviet Union had a socialist system, they still cared about the employees, and the West had a capitalist system, they still cared about the employees, but the approach towards the employees was different in handling that. And that is what I think we should have had the debate, but unfortunately, both the sides take positions which are extreme. And that is what I am sharing with you, that when we talk about privatization, it does not mean that those opposing privatization have no merit in their argument. Of course, there are strong points. National integration, whether PIA under privatized management will serve and cater for those areas which are not profitable, and therefore the concern about what will happen to that, or the fact that today the employees, whatever you say, have job guarantee, and tomorrow when you privatize, whether they will be able to retain their jobs or not. And that brings in the difficult part of it. And I will share a few things that is a result of intense debate within the parliament. When we talk about parliament, we are talking about special committees on PIA or various other committees which already existed, like the Public Accounts Committee of National Assembly, or I don't need that, if I need that. And various, there are 3 committees in National Assembly and 3 committees in Senate which have debated PIA extensively. I was out of the country and came back on Wednesday. Since then, I have attended 3 Senate committees, different. Today, I attended one on PIA. There's one which is a special committee on PIA in the Senate that I attended on Thursday. There was another meeting on Friday. There's a finance committee of Senate, which also obviously takes up the PIA issue. So it has been intensely debated, but yet if you go and ask anyone, any of the senators or members of the National Assembly, they say that there is mass confusion in terms of what the government wants to do. What is the plan, first, and why we want to do it? PIA is no different from any other entity as far as the privatization objective is concerned. We think and we believe, if you ask me strongly, although I say that as far as I am concerned, I am implementing the decision of the cabinet, whether I like it or not. But let me be candid to say that I am pro-privatization. I have been pro-privatization for as many years as I would recall. And it does not mean that there are no merits in the other system. Let me say that. But on an overall basis, and in the context of Pakistan's history, in the context of Pakistan's public sector performances, I would definitely vote 10 out of 10 times towards privatization. Because at the end of the day, as we stand today, all of us, and I'll ask anyone here, is anyone happy with the state of affairs with PIA? Is there anyone who is happy with the state of affairs with PIA? So we all agree, and the entire country agrees that things are not good as far as PIA is concerned. From its financial performance, from the quality of service that is available to the people of Pakistan, and so on and so forth. We all agree that the performance of PIA is pretty dismal and has continued to remain dismal for a number of years, let me tell you. As far as the financial performance is concerned, and I'll quote Mr. Asad Ali Shah, the CEO of Deloitte, who says that he has been involved with PIA's audit since 1987. He said, except for a couple of years, PIA has always remained in loss. When it has shown profit, that has been because, I mean, those of you who would understand accounting, if I join an organization, I have a few tricks up my sleeve to show profit this year, to book certain, say, provisions which will create a massive loss, only to reverse in the following year and then create that profit. But in real terms, according to him, we've never ever had, except for 2 or 3 years we've had. So we are talking about 30 years, and it's not a small period to come to a conclusion. Are we going to wait another 30 years? Because it's easy said than done. Please, no political interference, but at the end of the day, we all know there has been political interference. So where is the guarantee that there will be no political interference? You give someone the power to interfere, and then you say don't interfere. So isn't it better to come out of that situation where you don't give that power to the political party in power to make that interference? And 30 years, I can tell you, some of the most outstanding corporate executives have had opportunity to lead PIA. If anyone says that General Musharraf or Shaukat Aziz were not interested in reviving PIA, I think they are living in a fool's paradise. Why would they not be interested? And why would they not be interested to put the best person, as they thought, at the helm of affairs of PIA? They did. Tariq Irmani, for example, 30 years with Caltex and then PSO, managing director, and then become the CEO of PIA. Zafar Khan, 30 plus years with Anglo, one of the legendary names as far as corporate Pakistan is concerned, leading PIA. Ask them that can PIA be revived so easily? And even if it can, is it sustainable? Because sometimes, I mean, like for example, Shehbaz Sharif leads from the front, as one would say that वो डंडे के जोर पर आपने कुछ करवा दिया. But is that sustainable? When Shehbaz Sharif goes, do you have a system or a process or institutional mechanism to take it through many years from there? So sometimes you can have an outstanding CEO who can correct things by his intellectualism or professionalism or whatever. But is it sustainable? The fact of the matter is it has not been sustainable. So to say that now some XYZ party will come and they will reform and then everything will look so good. But we have to look back the last 30 years to live in the world, and there are many reasons, by the way, for that. While giving full praise and credit to people like Air Marshal Noor Khan, who ran PIA as one of the best airlines in the world, please do remember, Pakistan has completely changed since those days. So the powers that Air Marshal Noor Khan enjoyed, the CEO today does not have those powers. Air Marshal Noor Khan would not accept one surplus employee. He would have him kicked out. He would not sit here in Karachi headquarters and while an employee of PIA who has been transferred from Amsterdam since last 2 years remains in Amsterdam on the basis of a stay order given by the Sindh High Court. Pakistan has completely transformed. Even from the days of the 90s, it has executive used to be the most powerful institution, almost the weakest today. The court, the media, NAB, Senate, National Assembly committees, all oversighting on you and making it not difficult. I mean, in their own way, they have powers and obviously they want to scrutinize and have oversight of what is happening. The courts from the days of the fact that everyone knows that pre-2007 Pakistani superior courts were completely subjugated under the government. Today they are more independent than even the American judiciary probably would be. Because, I mean, at least if someone picks up the phone, I don't know, in American administration and calls a justice of the American Supreme Court and tries to explain him, give him some background of something, probably they will listen and without going to the media acknowledge that. Here, no one, from the Prime Minister down to any minister, can pick up the phone and ask any clarification. And that is a very good system, I have no complaints about it. But they are absolutely independent. So from one extreme, they have gone to the other extreme where, and this live case that I am sharing with you of an employee of a station manager in Amsterdam, where the PIA base was closed more than 2 years back. And he was asked to come back to Karachi, report Karachi. He comes back and gets the stay order from Sindh High Court and is still sitting in Amsterdam and drawing salaries. Now, what I say, and this is what I have pleaded with the opposition, that it's not about privatization. It's not about the PMLN government. If we are sincere about it, I am ready to turn around PIA. But you can't expect me to hold my hands behind and then ask me to turn it around. Give me the same powers as private sector management has. Simple as that. And then you can hold me or anyone else accountable to what we have done in terms of turning it around. You can't turn around an organization where you have no leverage for performance evaluation. No leverage for performance. Everyone talks about the great merit system, but for all the political leaders in Pakistan, the merit system stops at the time of entry, which is that government should not interfere and ask anyone to hire their cronies or whoever in the organization, which is fine, which is understandable. But what about the performance evaluation? And performance evaluation is basically rewarding those who are doing fantastic work and account for those who are not doing so good work. But here in PIA, look back, you take a sample, and I have taken a sample of PIA employees who joined about at the same time 10 years back or 15 years back. They would be almost at the same level. And in no private sector entity that would be the case. Because there is no performance evaluation. Everyone is scared of the system that if you punish someone, forget about firing. I'm talking about punish someone, that everyone else gets the increment and this guy doesn't get the increment, or someone gets an increment of say 30% on an annual basis and another gets an increment of 5%. But that's not the way it works. In no public sector company that works. So how can you expect an organization of which the most important asset, as we've heard or learned in management school, the most important asset are the employees. And here we have employees with whom we can do nothing. Forget about the quantity. And I have always maintained, because in this debate everywhere I see people talking about the expense to revenue ratio or the compensation as a percentage of total expense. PIA is slightly less than Air France or Air India or whatever. But I say that's not the issue I am highlighting. It's not the quantity, it is the quality. If I want to run an organization, I want everyone on merit. It's as simple as that. Do we have everyone on merit? No. So to say that expense is not an issue of the employees is just ignoring the fact. If Anglo requires a CFO and market-based salary is say 40 lakh rupees, You can't have 80 accountants of BCom giving them 50,000 each and they say there's no expense issue, there's no employee issue. It's a myth. The myth is that it's the quality that is at stake. And if that is what I was saying, if you give me, and those who are asking, for example, the CEO of Anglo or Shell or IBM Pakistan or Citicorp or Bank of America and so on and so forth, if they have some powers, if they don't let me to have the same powers but ask me to turn it around, it's simply impossible. And I've offered this to the corporate guys that look, here is the offer. You take all the employees of steel mill and give me all the employees of Anglo. And after 3 years, we will then see what the results are. I mean, you know, in some of the public sector entities, the situation is so bad that we start the hiring of the financial advisor whenever a privatization process starts. And then the financial advisors start the process of due diligence, financial, legal, technical, and so on. So to do the financial due diligence, you need the financial records. In most cases, the financial records are not there. And even if they are in such substandard condition that you have to recreate everything first from the last 3 years and then start to understand what it is all about. So that is the state of affairs. And we all agree, everyone agrees that since the last 30 years, things have gone down from bad to worse. And that is the reality. The decision always, when we are talking about any major economic decision, it is always going to be a difficult one in the short term. Forget about the fact that there is any economic solution which will start giving you benefits in the short term. The benefits always come in the medium to long term. Whether it is sustainable on a long-term basis, you talk about withdrawing subsidy. It's a bad decision in the short term. Everyone will be affected, and that is why the governments are reluctant to take those difficult and tough decisions. But in the long run, that everyone would agree that will give you benefit. You raise the taxes, that's a bad decision in the short term. But in the long term, the tax to GDP ratio probably will increase and whatever. So, and likewise, privatization. You take any decision, go back. I mean, everyone quotes the failures. Do we quote failures in our own life? If my son had gone to study in a business school and had failed, I will not stop my younger son to go and pursue that education. All we will do is to learn from where the mistakes that the elder son made. So, if we are talking about the failures of privatization, and there are many, and I acknowledge that, but please do remember, we are talking about from the 170 entities, some of the units that should not have been in business, whether in public sector or private sector, the roti plants or the ghee plants and all of those things. So if you add the numbers and say, look, so many have failed, but they should not have been in business in the first place. The second thing is, we should all learn from the successes and say how we can replicate that. The banking sector is an outstanding success. I forgot to bring the balance sheet, but all of you are educated. Have a look at a Light Bank's balance sheet of pre-privatization and today. MCP, UBL, HBL. The quality of services that they are providing, the quality of technology that they have introduced, the quality of the merit-based system that they have, their employees, the quality of their employees is as good or as bad as any financial institution in the world, let me tell you. Hiring the best from business schools and outside Pakistan. Look at the management. All would have 25 to 35 years of international top class exposure. All of these banks, from HPL to UBL to people would have worked in Credit Suisse, Merrill Lynch, Citibank, and so on and so forth. And they've turned it around. Just to tell you, 170 billion of negative equity in a Light Bank from the day it was privatized to a completely different situation where they, in the last 8 years, they have contributed 88 billion in taxes. Look at the quality of management. And the most interesting thing is that the number of employees have also increased for all banks since privatization. And this in spite of a massive investment in information technology, if that had not come, all things had remained the same, the number of employees would have been far more, and with better services, better working conditions, better prospects for growth. And this is what I tell the PIA employees and everyone, that everyone talks about job retention as far as PIA employees are concerned. And I say I make the difference. I talk of job growth. If a 25-year-old guy is working in PIA or a 30-year-old woman is working in PIA, is that enough that for the next 30 years or 35 years their job could be retained while there is no growth? Every employee in the world looks forward to growth, and that growth only comes if the organization is growing. If the organization does not grow, the employees will not grow, and that's what has been happening. An employee who is there for about 8 years, for example in PIA, is getting less than 30,000 rupees, and the salary has not increased since ages. Pakistan Steel, not a penny of increase has come since 2008. And by the way, you look at their financials, PIA, Pakistan Steel, and almost all other organizations, all the retirement benefit like pension, gratuity, provident fund has been eaten up by the corporation. So there is not a single penny today in PIA's, which is a criminal offense, because it's a separate trust, and whatever you deduct and the organization's contribution has to go in a separate trust account. And therefore what is happening when the employees are retiring, the money is not there to pay. What they do is to use that money and book the liability in the company's books. Is this a sustainable situation? And just to say that put in few good people here and there, everything will be fine. And I can quote you, in 2013 when our government came in power, the board of directors that we have today, I'll just take few names. Jawar Ali, one of the best business names in Pakistan. Arif Habib, one of the best corporate and business guys in Pakistan. Atif Bajwa, the president of Bank Alfla. Azam Sehgal. I mean, these are the kind of names. Who better you can get? I mean, instead of Arif Habib, you will bring in AKT, for example, or Mansha or whatever. By the way, Mansha was also there on the board and then he resigned. But these are the names. Nasir Jafar was one of the outstanding corporate executive businessmen who was leading PIA for last 2 years. So all you are saying is that from the top 10, you appoint the best, and that I agree. But the 15,000 don't touch. 15,000 don't touch. So whatever is happening in accounting department, finance, procurement, sales, and so on and so forth, don't touch them. Don't hold them accountable. But please turn it around. So the 330 billion liability that the government is sitting today, which is rising by the day, and there is not a day in the last 10-15 years when it has stopped bleeding, when it has remained stagnant. So from Zafar Khan to Tariq Dirmani to Nasir Jafar, you've tried everyone, and we can still take a decision, and this is a national decision. Like I say, we will plead for privatization, but if the nation doesn't want, like the nation decided in 2006, that we don't want privatization of Pakistan Steel just by the difference of 1920, because the buyer was, the people behind the buyers were someone and whatever. What is the price that the nation has paid? 25 billion we were getting. We did not get that. 200 billion. And by the month we are adding more. 200 billion we have put in. The steel mill is closed today. It is not operational. 17,000 employees, a junk plant and machinery. Not a penny, no one is ready to put in a penny. This is the state of affairs. And who is paying for it? I and you and everyone. So if that is what the decision has to be, then the nation must understand the economic consequence of those decisions. Just to say that why can't the government turn it around? this is a failed government, let's assume. What about the government which existed between 2008 and 13? What about the government before that? What about the government before that? So for 30 years you are bleeding and you are hoping that the next 30 will be so beautiful. And the problems, a lot of you would have business understanding. If you are in deep trouble, the problems can only escalate. Because if you are going to take out the 300 as one of the solutions recommended by the opposition was the 320 billion. Tomorrow when we go to sell, then you have to obviously take it out from the balance sheet because no buyer is going to take over that liability. Fine. So they say, why don't the government takes up that liability today and ease the pressure, the financial pressure on PIA. It's not without merit. But the question is, unless we resolve that, the bleeding will stop. Because it's just like circular debt. You paid 480 billion and then you added 300 more. So is this the cycle that after 2 years we are again sitting and 50 billion has piled up and then you say pick up this 50 billion and ease the pressure? So how long are you going to ease the pressure? And then is PIA the only public sector entity that has to be eased out? There are 100 public sector entities which are bleeding heavily. No one talks about Pakistan Machine Tool Factory. No one is focusing on what is happening in Sakhar Electric Power Company or Hyderabad Electric Power Company or Quetta or FATA and so on and so forth. And so many other entities. And Pakistan Steel, I give you the example. So if the nation decides not to go ahead, we will obviously welcome. I will be disappointed. But please, as we look back to 2006 and ask every single Pakistani that what has happened subsequent to that with Pakistan Steel, would they want to repeat the same with regard to PIA? That's what the question is. And if the answer is yes, we are ready, and simply by making huge statements like turn it around, no political interference, don't put political cronies in it, that's easy said than done. And I can only share in the end to say that since 2013, in almost quarter to 3 years, we have hired just 435 employees against an exit of 2,400 plus. And these are all critical employees. According to the ordinance, any public sector entity of which the privatization process starts comes directly under us. I have not even called once any managing director or CEO or anyone for any single hiring or transfer. Not even one. So we are very conscious about the fact that we should not put political cronies or based on, unless it's a merit-based system. So it's easy said than done that if you don't do, of course it should not be done. But the 15,000 or 16,000 are already sitting there. And I don't blame them, whether they were hired on merit or not. I don't blame them, whether they know that their job or they don't know their job. We have to sympathize with them. But to say that we will be holding the entire nation ransom, because what will happen to those 15,000 employees, not all of them, some of them, what will happen to them? Do we ask the same questions to all of you? I mean, my media friends are sitting there and they keep asking this question again and again and again, what happens to the employee? And I say, is your job guaranteed? Your job is not guaranteed, and you are proposing that and you are working according to you in the best institution in the world. No one has the right. I mean, in live talk show host, if I am asking the anchor, is your job guaranteed by ARBI or SAMA? No, it is not. So why are you proposing a different system for the rest of the country? Then it should be uniform. If you think that the system, and we all believe that system based on merit, based on performance evaluation is the best system for everyone. And that's what we propose. And that's what I propose to the political opposition, that whether we privatize or not, let's come on board as far as one thing is concerned. Let's make a public sector management, give them the same power, and then hold them accountable. Otherwise, you can't just ask them to be accountable for something for which they don't have any powers. Thank you very much.